believed in freedom of conscience and autonomy. And he agreed the tenets of natural theology, which hold that every advance in our knowledge of the universe harmonizes with belief in a most wise and good God. And that, quoting his minister, Reverend David Caird, quote, to talk with James Kroll was invariably to receive some thought or some impression that made the physical world seem more vast and glorious, or the spiritual world more real and powerful. And that's how I feel in relationship to James. His final book, The Philosophical Basis of Evolution, which he received in bound copy on his deathbed, served as a direct response to Darwin's admission, and I'm quoting Darwin here, quote, science as yet throws no light on the far higher problem of the essence or origin of life. So Darwin talked about the evolution of species, but he didn't talk about the origin of the first organisms. Kroll addressed Darwin's conundrum by identifying the cosmic origin of all motion in the universe, including the origin of species. Kroll's answer was God, and quoting Kroll, there is a unity, a plan, and a purpose pervading the whole, which imply thought and intelligence. In conclusion, Kroll was a cosmic thinker whose astronomical theory of climate change sparked a revolution in geological thinking. He was an autodidact who did this too. He did it by reading books and thinking. His important contributions extended the natural realm of geology beyond its terrestrial limits to encompass the Earth-Sun system. And that's what we think of today as the Earth-Sun system of climate, not just the Earth. So this is the first time Kroll has been evaluated for his significant influence on Charles Darwin and for his identification of the origin of species. Kroll's philosophy of nature, and this is his quote, gave cosmological width of sweep to his geological inquiries and to his philosophical musings. He spoke of the day, hopefully not far distant, hopefully very near now, when religion, philosophy, and science will go hand in hand. There's grandeur in Kroll's cosmic view of nature, which invoked God as the first cause, who set into motion the complex dance of the material world. My research question initially was, what new insights can unifications gain by working together with distinguished scholars of the past who have been liberated and blessed? My answer is, there's an incredible synergy in play here through the principle of returning resurrection, which provides a new methodology that explains and expands the definition of colleagues and provides a direct channel to share inspiration with and insights from the spiritual world. So James is with us now. James and his wife, Isabella, lived on earth long before the coming of the completed Testament age. They were blessed this year on February 4th, 2023, at the HJ Heaven and Earth Chumbo Training Center in Cheongpyeong. As a newly blessed couple, the Krolls can now continue their work on the world and cosmic levels, inspired by the truth and love of God. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fleming. That was quite an upgrade from your your previous presentation. I thank you for putting putting more time on that. Very, very thoughtful, and we appreciate. We got 2 presentations from you this year. I really very well done. And by the way, one thing I didn't mention, but I know it's a great source of pride for Dr. Fleming, so I do want to mention that he says that among his many accomplishments, take a look at Google Scholar sometime and you'll see how often he's been cited. But he says that among his many accomplishments, the thing that he's most proud of is that he and his wife, Miyoko, were recognized as a Chunbo couple in 2021. So I thank you for all of your academic work, Dr. Fleming, and also all of your great spiritual work, yours and Miyoko's work in that important area. So thank you, and we really appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
I've already introduced all of the judges, so I'm not going to reintroduce them. I just want to thank them for taking their time, and I want to thank our president, Dr. Walsh, his bride, Professor Lynn Walsh, and also our trustee member, Professor William Lay, all 3 of them for joining us, and we look forward to getting your feedback on the presentations this year from our faculty and our students. So I turn it over to all of you now.
Hello, you can hear me? Yes, you can hear me,
Yes, we
right?
can hear you.
Okay,
Great.
okay. Wow, it's already been a fantastic program. I am really inspired, Dr. Fleming, by the content you just presented. So I am a judge here, and that's a terrible situation. I've never done these research poster programs before, so I was very curious. And when I started reading them, I was so interested at the thoughtfulness of each one, and each one was so different, taking on different topics, a wide range. And so my interest, although became kind of dismay, because I had to say and judge. So it was very difficult, really a challenge. And just let me say, give two for instance. I'm picking these two examples because my prejudice, they happen to be my previous students, so I already know they're excellent students, and I wasn't disappointed at all by their presentations. Just a few comments about Bakabek Toktorov. Such an interesting topic about the Ethiopian conflict. Again, not something I knew about, but the way you introduced the problem really showed that conflict, seeps into and cascades into so many areas of life that is violation of human rights, the humanity crisis, huge tensions. And so I thought your, research question was very good and precise. And then, you were basically looking at all the ways that a conflict is created and how each one needs to be addressed. And I just think it's really important as we're trying to understand peace building, we really need to analyze how complex and how many levels we need to address conflict. So I really appreciate your work, Mr. Toktorov. And just a few comments also about Mayoga Militia's project. Again, something I didn't know very much about, the conflict between China and India. Obviously, it's really important. China is so much in the news and a concern right now. So all the more interesting that this conflict between India and China exists. And I thought, your research questions were very clear. And I wrote a note on your poster because you expanded, giving really good examples of what was going on. So my note on my poster was, she knows her stuff. So I was really appreciative of all of them, but I just want to comment on those two. So now, are the drums rolling? The judges did have to come up with a decision, and we did. We all agreed that it was tough, but so we see as the top student presenter was Sayola, I'm sorry, Tonya.
Saviola Konya. Saviola Konya.
Okay. There she is. It was so well done. Your video and the project itself, I think, was especially inspiring. Now, I have a certain prejudice because my area is family and is education of young people in terms of sexual integrity, but I think you really went at it, qualitative and quantitative. I think we are really inspired by, you really did present this material, and then like the quotes you gave from the students really showed that they were impacted. And also you were addressing a really important issue that in many countries and many cultures, there's a taboo about talking about sex. So here our children are being deluged by this terrible information, but they can't get the information that's most needed and the values and the guidance from their parents. So I really appreciate that you know, for instance, you got the permission of the parents in this intervention that you gave. So really important work. Let's see, your visuals are wonderful. And let's see. Yeah, and your enthusiasm was great, and the enthusiasm that the students gave, you know, they really, their eyes were opened to understand. I think the most critical question in our lives, you know, what is sexual integrity? Who we marry and all that predicts so much about our lives, but all our descendants. So excellent job. We all really proud of the excellent job that you did. And I look forward to supporting you, and keep going, keep going. Thank you very much. I think we should applaud at you for you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Now I want to ask you to just say a few words.
Thank you very much. I'm very honored, and also I'm very grateful to this opportunity that is given by UTS. I'm really proud to be among of you. I feel really small when I hear all of you, but still I'm trying to support somehow in the field where I live in. I mean, I work as a school psychologist, so I'm in the middle of young students. And I can see that they are very clever, and they are very much more informed than we were before, but they are not so much guided. So somehow I feel that they are really confused in many areas. But this one is particularly connected directly to their life. And knowing this, I wanted for them to have a different viewpoint and a meaningful viewpoint about what is really important. Because as I've grown up, I understood that more than being able to have, it's the fact that you can feel the value of what you have. So being grateful of what you have and to consider the value makes you happy, actually, not only to have something. So I wanted for them to know that these particular moments in their life have a very precious value, connected not only to one small moment of pleasure that is just physical, but it's connected to what they are inside, to their spiritual feelings and love, and to what it means for them, but also their relationship and also families, and what it means for the future when they create their family, and what they will transmit to their children also. So knowing this and being able to see the reaction that was really positive and inspired me back, I was very happy to do this work. Actually, it was as a final paper for the UTS studies that I'm grateful I've been in. And I think it's the best conclusion ever I could have for my studies in many ways. So thank you very much. And I wish success for the future also to all of us, to help everywhere we are in our small fields with our work. Thank you.
Thank you, Saviola. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, Lynn and Saviola. I'm Bill Lay, and I appreciate Dr. Ward's previous introduction. And indeed, he and I have collaborated, and I think we're going to collaborate some more, but more on that when I talk about the faculty and non-competitive submissions. Before I get to that, I just want to make a few comments on the other two student posters and submissions that Lynn did not necessarily talk about. They were both excellent. Reverend James Edgerly, his topic was new possibilities for race relations, and it doesn't just reflect a single research project. Really, it reflects, as he indicates on the poster, more than 30 presentation and discussion sessions of the Higher Purpose Forum as they, sincerely and diligently explore avenues for improved race relations. But the research project itself is really well done, really well presented, has intriguing ideas about, parallels of history broken down into American history. And I think it's Reverend Edgerly's intent as he expressed on the poster, to practice Kaizen by repeated public presentation, discussion, and feedback. So I know that's going to go well and is going to contribute, more to our understanding and our actual progress in race relations. And the other poster is another brilliant effort by our student Christopher Kennedy on the impact of media attitudes toward peace initiatives. And I love the research question and the way that Christopher approached this. I mean, obviously, we've thought a lot about the effects of anti-war movements or demonstrations, or for that matter, pro-war. But Chris was zeroing in on how is the media either advocating or actually undermining the peace process. And he had some very insightful comments about the war in Ukraine and what we're going through right now. So again, these were in the nature of runner-up submissions, but they were very, very good, and our judges appreciated them very much. Now on to the faculty category. Let me first of all, praise Dr. Fleming. We just heard from him, so we know a lot about his topic. And I think it's clear to us that, this idea of empathetic and loving communication with scholars of the past and bringing them into our current work is a beautiful contribution, to our research and our scholarly lives. And, I just comment, he read Kant and he read Jonathan Edwards so that he could understand what James Kroll was reading. And it's beautiful to hear about that effort. So thank you for that. And Dr. Ward venturing into the legal and constitutional law area, and then putting out this idea that hopefully some legal scholars will assist him, you see. But no, it's great. It's great to think about the real meaning of establishment and, and what establishment means today in terms of a sort of secular quasi-religion that has taken over the schools. And he went back and looked at a couple of key cases, this US v. Seeger and even the Engel Vitale case, which involved prayer in school, and the idea that, people should have a comfortable environment in which to study. So I commend both of the non-competitive contributors. And then I finally move on to our faculty members. We have wonderful and brilliant faculty members. And we judges, we were impressed by both submissions. Dr. Kone's had to do with this tension between sovereignty and humanitarian intervention. And I would say, that is a particularly sensitive topic, particularly for the African countries. And Dr. Kone was looking at it very carefully. We thought he did a really good job on that. Dr. Mickler's was lessons from early Christianity. and he drew upon his years of scholarship and teaching and his intimate familiarity, I could say, with the unification movement. And ultimately, we have awarded Dr. Mickler as the winner among our two faculty. Again, I say we appreciated both presentations very much. But Dr. Mickler, drawing from his scholarship, which many of us are generally familiar with, looks for lessons that can be applied that unificationists can use in the present time. And it's wonderful, useful, thought-provoking, inspiring. And so I would like to invite Dr. Mickler to make a few remarks.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lay, Professor Lay. It was an honor to participate in this competition. It's actually frightening in a way to participate in competition and put yourself on the line like this. I was initially invited to think on this topic by my students, particularly students on the Higher Purpose Forum, who wanted me as a result of our class to talk about lessons from the early Christianity for unification in particular and religion in general. So I'm grateful to the Higher Purpose Forum. I'm also grateful to my mentors in the study of the history of Christianity. I'm thinking back to Warren Lewis, who a number of our participants here today will remember as our first church history professor at UTS, Richard Cabido, who I was quite close with in my graduate school experience, and Dr. David Kim, as Dr. Ward mentioned earlier, Dr. Kim pioneering the unification history. I was interested to tease out lessons from early Christianity, particularly for new religions, but for Christianity in general. In my poster, I summarized most of the kind of positive lessons, but in my presentation, I noted that Christianity also has a shadow side, and so it carries forward these difficult elements as well. And such as the subordination of women in the early church, the demonization of Jews, excommunication of heretics, et cetera, that Christianity continues to deal with. Most of my work has been as a unification historian, but I think we have the responsibility to start to think about how unification insights can impact and hopefully eventually transform our fields of study. And that's what I'm thinking about in this effort. So I hope to go forward with further work, looking at lessons and counter lessons in the different periods of Christianity. My ambition is to eventually pen a church history text, something along the lines of church history in a new key, lessons and counter lessons from the early medieval Reformation and modern church. So that will be a bit of work going forward, but I really appreciate the recognition today and look forward to continuing to work on this topic. So thank you all so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Michler. And let me bring Dr. Fleming back in the capacity of judge this time.
Oh, well, congratulations, everyone. It's really been a wonderful time. In the interest of time, I'm going to make a very short remark. I'm going to encourage all of you to ask, what's next? Where do I go from here? And I'd like to ask Dr. Michler directly. I'd like some advice on how to be deviant, but not too deviant. Okay, turning it over to President Walsh now for final thoughts.
Well, thank you, Dr. Jim Fleming. Congratulations to our winners and all those who participated, and to my colleagues and my wife on the panel of judges, and everyone who joined us today. I really want to thank Dr. Ward, who has driven this project and really given it energy and invited me to participate. I didn't quite know what to expect, but as others have said, and it's not just gratuitous, but sincere, the really wonderful topics that our students and faculty are addressing. And it seemed to me very much this is consistent with the trajectory we are on as an institution, guided by our founder, Dr. Hak Ja Han Moon, and building on the foundation of Reverend Moon, of course, moving toward some new manifestation that we call a graduate school, and expanding into the area of peace studies, or what we call peace and public leadership. I think this research in many ways stimulated my imagination to to kind of answer also Dr. Fleming's question, what next? Where are we headed? And we always learned as seminarians that a seminary is kind of like a nursery or a breeding ground of those that would go out with new and expanded knowledge to impact the world. But I'm also seeing, in addition to that, the seminary kind of being a nursery and a breeding ground for new program areas. And I don't think we are, or that our founders thinking that this expansion growth and these seedlings would grow into simply, say, a sphere of theological studies or a divinity school plus a peace studies school that becomes the end result. But I really feel longer term, the vision of a university. You know, we're discussing today about science and the relationship between religion and science. So it's an exciting topic for our students, but we need, eventually we'll have faculty in these areas. Maybe Dr. Fleming's going to teach a course and have a chance to get more engaged in the future, and others. And those of you that took up topics like India and China, what an area. And we need research in this. Ethiopia, the conflict, church and state issues, Dr. Mickler's work on early Christianity. I really liked Chris's presentation that took on the role of the media. You know, it's a central concern of our founders also, the Washington Times, the Segue Times, the Sekai Nippo, the Tiempos del Mundo, a whole fleet of publications to disseminate ideas, not only Pauline-like epistles for the church, but to really inform and properly educate the entire citizenry. So I see us moving in exciting ways with this research program. So many thoughts came, you know, how when I look at the news, when I read, and every day I feel confronted by a world that seems to be on a downward spiral, that needs help, needs guidance, needs content, if you will, needs thought leadership. It needs a home of thought that produces this kind of thought leadership that can impact the world. I often hear people talk about the root causes of our problems, but often they miss the mark on those root causes. So we can explore what are the deeper root causes. I think even Saviola's onto that too, of looking at sexuality, marriage, and family, where we are each nurtured as human beings. So I'm excited by what's happened here. One area, because as we move ahead, we are going to express this kind of expansion from our seminary foundation into a graduate school foundation, that the name will include HJ, that's standing for Hyojung. And I think this is also a very critical area of research that we should all be looking at. And I've kind of begun to kind of look at not only within Confucian thought and Asian religion, but piety was the big question even for Socratic dialogues. Plato's Euthyphro was about piety and how we understand it. The Stoics, Cicero, Virgil of the Roman Empire. And these were the two civilizations, as Dr. Mickler knows, that Christianity was contending with and coming to terms with. And is Christianity, does it have the piety necessary? So I think there's so much there of understanding this core virtue, its relationship to sexuality, honoring the family, the country, and God. So my congratulations, my deep appreciation for giving me inspiration. Let's build UTS, let's build the HJ International Graduate School. moving into peace and public leadership as a core area. It continues the mission, the sense of ministry and vocation in our work. So thank you, one and all. And I'd like to turn it back to Dr. Ward. God bless you all.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Walsh. I have to say, mission accomplished. If the president is inspired, we're all inspired. So that's always good news. So thank you so much. And I want to thank all of our audience, everyone who joined us today, whether you're joining us through YouTube or whether you're joining us here online. We appreciate everybody being here with us. We do have this new non-competitive category. So maybe some of you who are watching, you will want to think about submitting something next year. We want to be a home of thought. We don't want to be just limited to our students and faculty, although that's clearly central. But those of you who are here as alums, as supporters, we also really need your feedback and your insights. I'd like to thank our judges. We really appreciate the time that each of you took to be with us. We thank you for your counsel today. Dr. Fleming, your beautiful presentation. You spent a lot of time in investing in this and in your other presentation as well. And I think that you gave some very good guidance to all of us to think about what's next. That's really the key. Honestly, sometimes we talk about that at UTS. The key is not your grade. The key is really where you're going to take the things that you learned and be able to express them on a broader level after that point. And thank you so much, Dr. Walsh and Lynn Walsh, for your counsel and guidance and for being able to take this event and be able to really show us the ways in which it ties into institution building. We very much appreciate that. Professor Lynn Walsh, we appreciate so much your insights into just the ways in which the work you're taking the time to speak to your students and the work that they did and giving them guidance and also really showing how those things are applicable. Professor Lay, the same for you. I really appreciate the comments that you provided to Eugene Kennedy and
Chris.
Sorry?
Chris.
I'm sorry. Believe it, Dr. Fleming, Chris Kennedy is Eugene Kennedy's son. I don't know if you know that. Dr. Fleming and I studied with Eugene Kennedy, who was Chris Kennedy's father. And so, yeah, that's right. I'm thinking about Eugene somehow. Maybe I'm being influenced by James Crow, I think. So anyways, yeah, he was such a great man, Eugene Kennedy. And I'm sure he's so proud of you, Chris, and of the excellent presentation that you shared with all of us today. When I watched the presentations this time, I just thought, well, wow, these are great presentations. They really were well done. I felt so proud of every single one of them. They were just exhilarating, well thought out, and lots of energy and time invested in each and every one of them. And I want to, also Professor Lay mentioned the work of James Edgerly. James Edgerly is doing an incredible job. And it's really our privilege to somehow have this connection between all the work that he is doing, and likewise him tying it into the seminary as well. And I just really so much appreciate the chance for all of us to partner. I know that Dr. Mickler's been working closely with James Edgerly, and many of us have had a chance to do things with him. And we really appreciate so much what he's doing to somehow work towards the healing of this country based upon the principle and his long period of service, and now likewise tying in the academic dimension of all that. So thank you, and a special congratulations to Dr. Mickler and to Saviola Konya. Dr. Mickler, great job, very practical, very clear, things that are self-evident, but they're not really self-evident until we hear from Mickler, actually. Suddenly then they become much more clear and apparent. And Saviola, really, you're doing a beautiful thing by helping your country, the kinds of things that you're doing in your schools. I hope that someday you can do that in our schools as well. So anyways, this brings pretty much to conclusion this UTS Research Day 2023. I thank everyone who's joined us here, and I thank you so much for wonderful work, wonderful inspiration, and a call for all of us to continue to contribute to make, as Dr. Walsh said, UTS into the home of thought that True Parents wanted it to be when they created it almost half a century ago. So thank you all very much, and I turn it back to you, Dean Boyd.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Ward, Dr. Walsh, Dr. Fleming, Professor Lay, Mrs. Lay, Mrs. Walsh, sorry about that. It's been a pleasure to witness this today as an observer. Congratulations to the winners, and thank you all of you who joined us either directly on the webinar or watching on YouTube, the live stream. This, as Dr. Walsh and Dr. Ward have said, this is something that UTS is going to build on. This is an annual event, and we really want to encourage all of our current students, all of you listening today, and our faculty members to consider entering the UTS research competition next spring. I'm sure that over the coming year, with this in mind, each of you may be involved in research of importance that you can share with our UTS community on Research Day 2024. So in addition to that, please be on the lookout for our regular activities and programming from the seminary. Look in your inbox for any kind of email for upcoming programs of UTS events of interest that are held regularly throughout the year. So thank you all for being here. God bless you all. Thank you so much, everyone. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Wonderful program.
Thank you.
Onward and upward.
Those of you who didn't win, you can work on it more for the coming year. Don't stop. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. Congratulations. Good job, Chris. I really like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But Kit Beck, good job. Very well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're really a scholar, Mr. Toktarov. I think I'll see you in Korea, maybe.
Yeah, I'll be there. See you there.
And Saviola, I'll see some of your friends. I think Alfred Moisu will be in Korea.